every Friday we get a little high school football preview from Big Game James Allen from the Times-Union. Big Game has been covering Section 2 athletics since 1989. I've been saying this for years. He's as credible source as there is in this area. Big Game, welcome.
Hey, Zach, how you doing?
I'm doing good, friend. How are you doing?
I'm hanging in there.
I got to ask you right off the top. You know, it was a bit of a somber week with the passing of the legendary football coach from Bishop McGinn, Joe Grasso, and that had kind of been the talk all week. And this past week, of course, was his services. And I don't know if you had a chance to get there, Big Game, but from everything that I read, there was just so many people there. It was one of the largest dioceses that the Capital Region has to offer. And it was just flooded with people who loved Joe Grasso, and there was just a lot of love in the room.
No doubt. I attended the wake, and I got to McVeigh's funeral home at 2:40. The service started at 4, and the parking lot by 5 minutes later was filled. So there was a lot of people there before it started. They actually started letting people in at 3:30. So yeah, and there were people that came from California, Florida. I know I talked with Ben Cardwell, who was the quarterback and played basketball on the state championship basketball team with them, and was the quarterback on their 08 Super Bowl team that lost to Burn Hills, and he came from Virginia. So there was a lot. In fact, there was a lot of love. There was a lot of people there. There was a lot of people that I hadn't seen personally, some of them in 25 or 30 years. So, he had an immense impact, not only on athletes, but just on students that went to Bishop McGinn. So, it's an icon in many regards that we lost.
Well, Joe Grasso was helping out CBA. Of course, his good friend is Joe Burke, who coaches CBA. And they're in possibly, and I don't know if you called it this, but the game of the week, Shenendehowa versus CBA. What do you make of that matchup?
Well, it has obviously monster implications, Zach, in the Empire Division. Right now, CBA is state ranked. They're number 20. They're 4-0. They're undefeated, obviously, in the Empire Division. And Shen is also undefeated in the Empire Division. Their lone loss was season opener against Troy, which was a non-divisional game. They're 3-1, 3-0. So Shen has had CBA's number since Joe Burke has been there. They haven't beaten them. So obviously Shen is, from a program standpoint, is feeling pretty confident about the way things are going. And obviously the untold element in this matchup is the effect that Joe Grasso was only with them for a few months, but yet he had a immense impact on these young men. And CBA was at the service in full uniform, and I know a few of those kids were really close with him already. So it's going to be interesting to see what the emotions are like, and you can't help but wonder how it affects their preparation. It's a very important game, and I kind of laid low even in my preparation for the game. I'm talking with both coaches later today. I purposely didn't want to talk to Joe Burke until today because of obviously the things that are going on. But this is a very important game certainly for both teams, and I think it's going to be a very interesting matchup to see how Shen is sort of evolved. Very young team. They didn't really have any of our top players returning from last year's team, and a lot of these guys that are doing well for them are guys that play on the JV team that was undefeated last year. And CBA is got big time aspirations this year, so this is a very important game.
Well, another Joe Grasso tie-in is that his son Mike is Troy's offensive coordinator. Troy is having a terrific year. They're ranked number 11 in the state in the AA poll. They take on Colony tonight.
Yeah, and I think that they're riding high, and the only thing that you could have a little bit of hangover effect after such a huge win against Shaker last week, but Colony's been decimated with injuries, and they are 2-2, and they've got a divisional win, but Troy's just been playing at another level right now, and I think they're going to have they're going to have. I think they'll have a reasonably easy time in that one, Zach. But the fun aspect of the what's going to happen tonight is Troy's going to open in the split back beer, which is the offense that Joe Grasso ran at Bishop McGinn, and that's Mike Grasso giving tribute to his dad.
Well, his name is Big Game James Allen. He's a writer for the Times Union. He's been covering high school sports since in this area, Section 2, since 1989. He comes in every Friday and gives us a little preview, and this week adding some context to the passing of Joe Grasso. We appreciate you stopping in Big Board Sports, Big Game.
Appreciate it, Zach, and have a good weekend.
All right, you too. And that was Big Game James Allen, who does a really nice job covering high school athletics in this area for a couple decades now.